An estimated 10 million Americans and approximately 3 to 6% of the world's population live with fibromyalgia that often seriously impacts their lives and disrupts their daily routine. Although fibromyalgia is one of the most common chronic pain conditions in the U.S., more research is needed to better understand the disorder. Patient advocacy groups are working to raise public awareness and improve access to care.
Fibromyalgia is a chronic disorder, the symptoms of which are chronic widespread pain, has to be there for at least 3 months duration. Typically a patient who has fibromyalgia presents with a history of chronic pain, fatigue, sleep disturbances. Oftentimes there's problems with bowel function or mood problems or difficulty with thinking and concentrating.
For Lynn Matayana, the symptoms first appeared after having surgery to treat endometriosis.
Living with fibromyalgia is extremely challenging because it's with you 24 hours every single day. When I wake up in the morning, I feel stiff and I hurt all over, and I have to slowly get up and try to stretch so that I can move and get my life going that day. And it also is very difficult because you have all sorts of symptoms like headaches and irritable bowel and muscle spasms. And then at night you can't sleep, so you lay there in bed feeling sick and feeling miserable. So it's a challenge every single day of your life.
For the next 2 years, Lynn endured not only excruciating pain, but also skepticism from her doctors, friends, and employer.
When I had all of these pain symptoms, it was very difficult to find a diagnosis because most doctors at that time didn't understand what fibromyalgia was. So I saw many, many doctors before I finally found a rheumatologist who diagnosed me with the manual tender point exam and said that fibromyalgia was a chronic illness and that I was going to have to learn to live with it for the rest of my life.
The change that I've seen in the time that I've been in medicine, that it went from something that was regularly dismissed as just kind of a matter of course. Clinicians have become a lot more sympathetic about the disorder, much more interested in its treatment.
With this in mind, Lynn founded the National Fibromyalgia Association in 1997 in an effort to raise awareness about FM in the media. This soon expanded to include patient support and assistance, medical community education, and the facilitation of research.
When I found out that I had fibromyalgia, at first I was relieved because it had been several years that I was living with all of these terrible symptoms and I didn't know what was wrong with me. And once I had the name fibromyalgia and I could go and look at the website and learn what it was about, I felt that I now understood what I was facing. But once I realized that it was a chronic illness and that it was something I was going to have to live with forever, then I was very nervous and very frustrated because there wasn't much help. And so that was difficult because I was hoping that the doctors would be able to find a cure and help me get over it.
Today, the National Fibromyalgia Association is the largest nonprofit organization for people with fibromyalgia in the world. The organization's website provides comprehensive information and serves as a support base for FM patients and their family members, as well as healthcare providers, while continuing to promote awareness through its Pledge to Care program.
The National Fibromyalgia Association has unveiled its Pledge to Care program, and this is a very important program because there's 3 elements. First, the National Fibromyalgia Association pledging to the fibromyalgia community that it will accomplish certain things to help them. Also, healthcare providers are taking the pledge to the community to let them know that they will do everything they can to help encourage people to give them better treatment. And then families can take the pledge and make it so that they can let their loved ones who have fibromyalgia know that they care and are going to be there supporting them.
As part of its awareness and educational efforts, the NFA sponsors a series of national and international conferences that bring together patients, medical professionals, and experts on fibromyalgia. Experts share their findings and expertise with both patients and healthcare providers. Today, former ambassador to Iraq Paul Bremer and his wife Frances are working as advocates for FM awareness.
We're trying to talk as much as we can to the press, and there's been quite a lot of interest now, fortunately, in fibromyalgia. One of our objectives is to try to get the press interested and get some stories. And we're taking advantage of the fact that we live in Washington and we know a lot of people in Washington. So we're going to be working with political leaders to try to get folks in Congress and in some of the parts of the government to undertake some really serious research.
As the spokesperson for the Fibromyalgia Association, I pledge to get the word out, to speak to and try to reach the millions of fibromyalgia sufferers in America and across the world.
While there is no generally accepted cure, there are several treatments available to patients.
Self-care is an important part of the treatment of fibromyalgia. Patients will take responsibility for their sleep hygiene, getting regular exercise. Beyond that, there are medications which are coming out. There are things that are not approved of by the FDA, but we know they're effective. We do have a new medication that has been approved of by the FDA. That's good news. Depending on what else is going on with the patient, they may benefit from referral to physical therapy or sometimes to counseling to help them resolve issues that are going on that may be aggravating their symptoms.
Through the efforts of Lynn Matayana, Ambassador and Mrs. Bremer, and others actively involved in education and awareness, fibromyalgia is finally getting the recognition it deserves. And slowly, the stigma surrounding this condition is disappearing, and the future has never looked better for people affected by fibromyalgia.
What I want people with fibromyalgia to know is that there are many people working very hard to find out how to better treat this illness, and that the future is going to be bright, it's going to be hopeful, and that people are not going to have to suffer as much as they have. As we spread awareness and more people, more doctors, more spouses and friends learn about this illness, we'll get the support and the help that we need.